Hi, this is your host, Jeff Ragavin, and you're listening to Marketing Mix, where we hear from some of the most influential CMOs of today to discuss the strategies of tomorrow. Welcome to Marketing Mix. I'm here today with Jeremy Lowenstein. Jeremy's the CMO at Kopari Beauty and a friend for probably the last decade. Jeremy, always a pleasure. Really great to have you on the show.
I'm super excited to be here. Thanks for having me. Yeah, it's been well over a decade. It's actually probably been about 15 years now.
Wow, crazy. You've been in the space especially in the beauty space, for probably 15 years plus.
Exactly. Yeah, I've seen a lot of brands and a lot of change.
Yeah, so we met, during, back in your days of Cody and Sally Hansen, and you were there for as long as I can remember, actually. And it's great to reconnect. And you just recently made a massive move from the East Coast to the West Coast.
Yeah, it's been living in San Diego now for 6 months. Been with Kopari for almost 7 months now.
So, okay, really quick, since we're in the beginning of the show, one, how was the move? How are you adjusting? And two, tell us a little bit about, the brand and who they are and, why you decided to trek across the entire country to lead marketing.
Sure. So, as you said, I've been in the beauty industry for over 16 years and have spent that at, two very large, reputable companies between, the Estee Lauder companies and Coty, and have had the opportunity to work on really fantastic brands that really have stood for something to the consumers. And, I was, looking for my next opportunity and figuring out what was out there next. And I wanted to take a stab at a smaller indie brand, and be that New York, somewhere else. And I actually came across Kopari through an old colleague of mine. I was introduced to Bryce Goldman, who's the CEO and one of the co-founders. And him and I had a phone call, spoke for about 2 hours, and we really just hit it off. And they actually weren't really looking for anybody on the East Coast. And he came to New York. We met again, spoke for another hour or two, came out to San Diego. And truth be told, I had never been to San Diego before. And I met with the four co-founders. And really, besides the brand and what the brand stands for, which I'll go into, it was the four founders that really sold me on taking this leap and joining them on this journey. And the brand itself, just to go into a little bit of background, because I think it is unique. The brand was founded by these four people. So Bryce and his wife, Gigi, they met in college at USD. And Bryce is a native San Diegan. Gigi is from Chicago. They went, like I said, met at USD, and they also met another friend of theirs named James Brennan, who is from New York. He's from the Rockaways, and the three of them became friends. James is a serial entrepreneur out here in San Diego now, having started brands like Suja. And Bryce comes from the beauty industry. He worked at Empire Beauty. It's his family business. And Gigi, his wife, is a trained broadcast journalist. And the two of them had this idea about 6 years ago. They saw the trend in naturals starting to happen. They saw this, Gigi was cooking with coconut. They have 3 grown children now. And they sort of had this idea of creating a coconut-based brand that was better for you. And they literally walked down the street to their friend James and was like, hey, what do you think of this idea? Just sort of for feedback. He's like, I love it. I'm investing in it. And oh, by the way, this other woman who has worked for me in the past, named Kiana Cabell, approached him with a very similar concept. And he introduced the three of them. The three of them sat in a room, and out was born Kopari. So it's unique to have 4 co-founders. They all come from very different backgrounds. Kiana actually studied food science in New York, so she understands sort of how the natural ingredients work and why they are better for you. And like I said, you have Gigi with a journalism background, Bryce with more of an operations background, and James with an entrepreneurial background. It's sort of, everything led to creating this amazing brand with different points of view.
That's awesome. And so when you first started talking to him about this opportunity, did you maybe in your mind think, hey, can I do this from New York?
No, I was at the point in my career where I said, you know what, if the next opportunity takes me somewhere else, you only live once, might as well try it. And like I said, I came out here for a day and met them. They offered me the role a few weeks later, and I kind of moved out here kind of sight unseen. It was a
Wow.
leap of faith, and for me, it was about the relationship that I had quickly built with the four of them, and what I really believed in the brand, because I think the brand has already shown so much potential and success. But I believe in what it stands for, and as a marketer, I sort of saw the opportunity that was driving consumers to come and buy a Kopari product. And I think anybody who's joining a new organization does their due diligence. And I did that, and I spoke to people, be it people that are retailers or consumers, and they love the brand. And I think there's something very special about it. And for me, I think it actually blends a lot of my past experiences, where I was able to take my experiences at Aveda, where they were the pioneers in sort of the organics and naturals movement. And I also worked when I was there when we launched our ecom platform. So I understand that was the beginnings and the infancy of ecom about 15 years ago. And then going to Coty and having worked on mass globalization of brands, I was able to put those all together and bring that to Kopari, because it does play in the natural clean space, the e-com space, and then now going into the retail and the globalization arena. So I was super excited about doing that and coming into a smaller team and being able to put my sort of stamp and work with the founders and taking their vision and accelerating it.
That's awesome. Yeah, you kind of read my mind because I basically was going to ask you, of all of the different major brands that you've worked at in the last, 15 years or so, what did you want to bring right away to Kopari?
I never walk into a brand or a job saying this is what we have to do. For me, it was about, let me see what is cooking here and what makes this brand tick. I think what makes me unique is I come into this organization and they're, one of their first hires from a larger organization. It was about, how do you maintain the entrepreneurial culture while bringing in a sense of structure and discipline, because as we scale, you start to need to have that in place. But the entrepreneurial culture and spirit is really critical, and it sits at the heart of Kopari. And I think my experiences at both Aveda and Coty have given me that tool set, because Aveda was this indie brand within Lauder, and we operated as an indie brand. And then within Coty was always built. When I joined 12 years ago, it was all about entrepreneurship within the construct of a larger organization. So now I actually get to do that and help shape that from within.
Awesome. Now, from a product perspective, where can people buy it?
So Kopari today is sold at multiple distribution channels. Our priority, is our D2C, so our e-commerce platform directly through koparibeauty.com. We are sold at in Sephora, at Ulta, Nordstrom, Urban Outfitters, Riley Rose, Anthropologie. So our distribution has really gained traction over the past 2 years, and the brand is we will hit our 4-year anniversary in October.
Amazing. So as a company that is really, obviously it's all about getting your products into their hands. When you're thinking about the design of the package,
Yep.
is it more important for online? Is it more important when you have your products in brick and mortar store? Like, how are you guys looking at that?
Well, I think that's part of the shift, sort of the mindset shift that has to happen at any brand that starts as a D2C brand and moves into brick and mortar. When you are online merchandising, it's important, but there's no touch feel. So you have the luxury of being able to create unique packages. Size doesn't really matter because there's no shelf space. I think as the learnings that we're going through, and that's where my experience comes in, is that I've played in both worlds, is you need to start looking at how you manage the physical shelf space. So for us, there's packaging that needs to A, work hard at telling the story, B, convince her or him at shelf that this is the product for them, and make sure it's as productive as possible, but also stands out and really screams the brand story. And I think the four of them, Kiana was really the sort of the creative behind the packaging. was looking to bring a more youthful look and feel to what historically, when you look at the naturals and clean space, was more of a brown earth tones, and bringing this sort of white clean space to let the products breathe is really important. So I think we look at all those different elements and how do I blend them now and make sure that they are consumer facing friendly, productive for our retailers, and telling the stories they need to be doing.
Got it. If you had to describe Kopari as a person, how would you actually describe the brand?
So the brand, if I think about why the brand was created and this personality they put behind it, when I first spoke to the four of them, it was about taking a look at what's going on in the natural and clean space. And like I said, everything had this sort of boring earth tones, very serious approach to why clean is better. And the brand is more about, why does it need to be so serious? Why can't this be playful, fun, and efficacious at the same time? So we're kind of like your cheeky girlfriend. We want to be your friend. We want to like hang out with you. You don't take anything too seriously, but we still believe in, but we're always going to be there for you. You're like your best friend at the same time.
So thinking about, other brands like Glossier, they started solely online and they have pretty fantastic packaging. But I think even with, their huge success, they still open stores. So, what's your approach to brick and mortar maybe moving forward? I know that you're in, a number of these stores, but what is the long-term strategy for that?
Yeah, I think we're becoming a multi-channel brand, and I think we're already there. And I think at most D2C brands, and every article that you read, every other CMO that or CEO you speak to, be it if you started as brick and mortar or started as D2C, that those worlds are converging. A, for scale. B, consumers are sort of channel fluid at this point. And I think specifically when it comes to beauty, beauty is a sensorial, hands-on, touch feel category. There's an irrational emotional component that I think you can only have when you're touching the product. So I think it's
Mhm.
important to have that showroom experience, be it in your owned stores or in a partner retailer. And I think going further with Kopari, I think what makes Kopari unique from a brand perspective is this idea of coconut. Coconut, we really do tap into every piece of the coconut, be it the coconut oil, which is the flagship for the brand, or the coconut milk, coconut shell, coconut water. And there is a all around sensorial experience when you open and crack open any of our products. You can smell it, you can touch it, and there's that transportive experience that you have with Kopari. And I think having that in store brings another dimension to the brand.
That's great. I think one big issue I think a lot of brands face is how to really figure out how to bridge online with offline data. Like how do you get those customers to really intersect? So is there anything that you guys are doing or even thinking about doing from a strategy perspective on creating that bridge?
So I think that's always challenging, especially when you're an indie brand. Getting the data from your partner retailers isn't always easy. But for me, it's about making sure that we keep channels of communication open with our buyers, have them give us the feedback on what are they seeing in their data set, who do they see as our main consumer. Why, reading reviews is critical, so we're constantly reading online reviews on our partner retailer sites, and then data mining the data that we have of our own consumers who are buying off of Kopari's site. That helps really create insight into what's next for us, be it marketing plans, product innovation, re-support programs, or how do we just overall make the experience better for her on our site for a shopping experience.
Totally. Now, when you're thinking about your business, I think, well, let's take a step back. The beauty sector in general, like overall, there's a lot that goes into, pushing product and getting people to talk about product. And, we've seen obviously in the last few years the, very large prevalence of creators and influencers that are really pushing the brand.
Yeah.
Is there, for one, do you guys do anything on the influencer side? And if you do, how has the role of the influencer actually changed, in the last few years, at least from what you could see at Kopari and even, at Sally Hansen?
Sure. Influencers today are now the new celebrity. And I think they're like celebrities 5 years ago. They're always the A list down to the C list. But it's really about following. And for me, the most important thing when I look at influencers is authenticity. And I think consumers look for that as well. I want to make sure that whomever is talking about our brand is doing it in a way that is truly genuine to who they are, giving that, I'm happy to give them the marketing talking points, but I want them to talk about the product from their own personal experience. And that's really critical. And I think consumers can see right through it at this point if it's not authentic. So I look at that as we partner with influencers, be it micro or macro. And to me, the way in which you partner with them is all about your objectives. Are you doing it for reach? Are you doing it for just smaller audience and community engagement? So I think as a marketer, you really have to set out what your objectives are with your team as you start to engage influencers in any campaign, content, or product sampling.
So, in terms of authenticity, is there a type of lifestyle or interest that the ideal Kopari influencer should live? Like, who are they?
Sure. I think there's a lot of different lifestyle personas that would live within this brand. If we go into the lifestyle space, given that this brand was born in San Diego, it tends to have a little bit more of a beach vibe to it. So we look at
Mhm.
the surfer community, the female surfer community, people who sort of enjoy being in the beach life. I think that's a critical piece of our persona. The active lifestyle, health and wellness, clean living. So there's a lot of different areas and characteristics that we can tap into. We tend to look at sort of everyone says the millennial. It's actually now my least favorite word, and it has been for probably the
Right.
past 10 years. Because if you look at even who a millennial is, millennials range from 24 to 39, and I think those are very different people. So again, to me, it is about a persona and a lifestyle. And I think like I said, there are different attributes you can tap into here. The other piece that's interesting for this brand to tap into are, I have two female founders, and they're both of different generations. Gigi has three kids. One is 17, 14, and 10. So she has had a career before this, and Kiana is in her early 30s and has a 2-year-old. So we have the benefit of speaking to other female entrepreneurs. We have the benefit of speaking to multiple generations through both of their individual stories, and we get to bring them together in a very unique way that most brands don't get to do.
Awesome. Now, you've been in the space now for quite a while, and it's not a shock or a surprise to most people that if you're working in beauty, you're most likely, going to be around lots of women.
Yep.
And most marketers in the beauty space are women as well. So I'm just curious from you, have you like faced any challenges being a man, working in a predominantly female centered
It's
industry?
funny because
You
I
know,
don't even notice it anymore, and it
right.
is. It's you sort of just become accustomed to that. I actually find it refreshing. I think it's fun. There's a lot of, like I said, I have two female founders, and they are leaders, and I love seeing that. And my partners in the C level, my head of retail, my CFO, also women. I love it because as a guy, I think we all grow up using sort of the bare minimum product, be it deodorant, shampoo, conditioner, and body wash. And there are pretty usually big name brands, but we're not as immersed in the world of beauty. And I think as a marketer and being a guy in that world, it actually makes me work that much harder to understand product usage and the reason why we need it. So I'm testing everything. So when I was on Sally Hansen, Sally Hansen is a multi-category brand as well, be it nail polish, nail treatment, hair removal, or the airbrush business. I have used all of those products. Yes, I have used the waxing products, and I get asked that all the time. And
Yeah.
when I was at Aveda, I'm using all of the hair care products, and here at Kopari, same thing. I'm using all of our products, and I think it's important for whether you're a guy or a woman in this business that as a marketer you experience the products, because then I can actually speak to them authentically. But I
Mhm.
do rely on my team, who are mostly women, to give me their honest feedback because they are the consumers. So I need to be in their headspace to be able to create campaigns and products that are meaningful to them.
Got it. Makes a lot of sense. So from a just kind of thinking about the category itself, like especially, the natural
Yep.
category, do you see a lot of other brands, popping up in this kind of natural beauty arena? And are people going to shift a little bit from, let's just say, the big box to more of something that is, could be like, hey, this is definitely me,
Yeah.
right? This brand, I want to use natural stuff.
Sure. I think what's interesting about this space, and like I said, one of the reasons I joined Kopari was when I was at Aveda. Aveda was a pioneer in the organics and natural space, and that was 16, 20 years ago. And I think they were pioneers, and they get to help define what that category means and what it means to be natural, what it means to be sustainable, and what it means to be organic. And there were no regulations around what it took to become that or have that seal of approval. And with Kopari is playing in the clean space. So not necessarily just natural, but clean. I think there's a lot of ambiguity out there today around what it means to be clean. And we get to be a part of that conversation and help lead it, especially with our retail partners, be it Sephora or Ulta, or Nordstrom, on what clean means to her. And it changes every day. So you're constantly keeping up and trying your best to be, clean is not only natural, but it's transparent. So, while it may have been a trend 3 years ago, I think it's still in its infancy, but it's almost becoming the cost of entry for new products to come to market. So you have to go above and beyond that to actually have a point of view. And I think, like I said, why I believe in Kopari is that we believe in coconut as our foundation, and it's the multi-pronged use of the coconut itself. So I think there's a lot of avenues to play in. So I think, like I said, I think clean is just becoming the barrier, is the cost of entry to beauty today.
Awesome. So, Jeremy, we call this show Marketing Mix for a reason. We talk about work, we talk about products, and then we shift a little bit to you. And we just literally, for the last couple of episodes, started something a little different. We do these rapid fire questions, just a few. And, the goal here is just, I'm going to ask you a question and just whatever's on the first thing on your mind, just spit it
That's
out.
scary.
Don't think.
Okay.
Okay. So, what's your guilty pleasure?
Guilty pleasure. Probably binging anything on Netflix at this point.
Favorite Netflix show?
Right now, I'm in the middle of binging Stranger Things.
Season 3?
Season 3. I'm 7 episodes in. I need to finish it this weekend.
I haven't started it. Is it good?
It is amazing. I think the writing is fantastic. The acting is great. But here's my problem with binging today. And I think this is where I think the Gen Z and even the younger millennials don't appreciate it, is you can just watch an entire season in a day, but then you got nothing to look forward to for a year and a half. There was something to be said about television, which I have yet to be a cable. I'm not a cord cutter. I can't do it. I like still watching television. I like waiting for a week.
So here's the thing that is, I totally am in agreement with you. When Stranger Things comes out or another Netflix series like Black Mirror or whatever, we binge it, we watch it for, it's like literally an afternoon or an evening, and then we're done. And then we have nothing else to
Right.
watch. But I feel like, I just started watching season 2 of Big Little Lies on
I haven't
HBO.
watched that show. I need to get into it. Everyone says to.
It's really good, but it only comes out on Sundays.
Yep.
And so you either watch it once a week for the series or you watch it on demand when it's all done.
Yeah.
So I think for Stranger Things, I'm going to do one episode a week and not watch
I actually think you're going to have a hard time doing it, knowing that it's sitting right in front of you and you have that opportunity.
Okay. What's your favorite Kopari product?
My favorite Kopari product is probably our scrub. I love the texture. I love the smell. It has crushed coconut shell in it, and it has sugar. So it's amazing.
I definitely want to try
Okay.
it. Okay. Burger King or McDonald's?
Neither.
I knew you were going to say that. I just wanted to see if maybe you had like a guilty pleasure once a year.
I can tell you that I probably haven't been inside a Burger King or McDonald's in years. There's nothing that appeals to me about it. There are other fast foods that are my guilty pleasure. My true guilty pleasure for food is pizza. There's no such thing as one slice. But I have to tell you, my
Right.
real guilty pleasure right now in snack, if you haven't tried them, is Skinny Pop's cinnamon sugar flavor. It's just addicting. I can't. And it says it's healthy, so I sort of believe it, but it is one of those snacks that you just can't stop eating.
Yum. Well, I definitely want to try that Kopari product
I
by
will
the way.
send you an entire box of product.
Yes, I love product. Okay, so if you could live anywhere in the world
Yep.
for a full
Yep.
year, no strings attached,
Okay.
where would you live and what would you do for that year?
So I'll tell you where I've always wanted to live, and I just have not bit the bullet to do it. Is Tel Aviv,
Mm.
and
Oh, you were recently in Israel this past
I
year, right?
I go every year. I've probably been well over 20 or 25 times. I absolutely love the country. I love the history. I love the people. It's a country that has a lot of angles to play, but there's something so amazing about the energy in Tel Aviv. It has, it kind of is like San Diego a little bit more high energy. It's on the beach, but it is a work hard, play hard city. And what I find amazing there is the entrepreneurship around technology. The people who come out of the army just have so many ideas and skills, and they really funnel them into business building. So I would love to live there. Whether it's from and I work there, or hike, travel, bike. I'm a cyclist, so my one of my goals, hopefully in the next few years, is to bike around all of Israel. But I find it such an amazing country.
Oh, it sounds amazing. Okay, so last and final question.
Okay.
What's something that you're most proud of that's not on your resume or related to business?
Something I'm most proud of. I actually look at, this is going to sound really cheesy, but it is around the friends that I've and my friends and family that I have built over family. Obviously is a lifetime, but the friends that you keep close to you, I think they're your sounding board. They are your family as well, and I think that's something that's the relationships that you create are really meaningful. Um, I look at other things that I've done in my life that are more tangible. This is also going to now you're going to see a little bit more insight into my life. There are two things that I'm proud of. One is when I was in college, I was in an a cappella group. I loved it. It was like pitch perfect come to life, and that was a bonding experience like none other. And the second thing that I'm most proud of is the cycling that I have done. I've biked Boston to New York 5 times now. And it's a physical challenge, it's an emotional challenge, but it's a community builder. And I've done it with Cycle for the Cause from the LGBT Center in New York, and it's really amazing. That feeling and that rush that you get after you've biked 285 miles is truly spectacular. And I encourage anybody to pick up a bike and just do it. I only got into biking 8 or 9 years ago, and it's truly transformative. It's probably the one activity I can do where, yes, I have my phone with me, but I can truly disconnect. You are sort of one with your bike, you're outdoors, appreciating what's going on around you, and I can actually clear my head.
That's awesome. So I actually have one question which I just heard in your voice, and I'm curious, and I could be wrong.
Okay.
Are you from Canada?
Originally, yeah, I was born in Calgary. I have a slight Canadian accent with a hit with
I never
with
would
a
have
with a
guessed
hint of New Englander thrown in when I throw out Wicked, which happens quite often.
that. I literally just like, wait a second. Is Jeremy from Canada?
Yeah, my parents are born and raised in Winnipeg. I was born in Calgary, but we moved to the States when I was quite young and grew up in New York and Boston.
Well, you still have it, let me tell you.
I've also had a few Canadians work for me.
By the way, I've known you for so long and I never knew this until just now.
You learn something new every day.
Yeah, I love it. Awesome. Well, Jeremy, it's so great to talk and, wishing you like an amazing, successful
Thank you.
journey at Kopari.
Hey, I just follow
You're
your
lucky.
success. Look how much you've created. It's amazing.
Listen, they're lucky to have
Thank you.
you, and looking forward to hearing all the great stories and seeing you in California and
Hopefully very soon.
very soon.